How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, a random coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. As always, if you guys want access to the private repository, there's a link in the description down below that'll walk through exactly how to gain access to that. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and try to wrap up working on this message pop-up for the time being by being able to actually click on this seen by. You can also see that we have a little bit of an issue here. This should be seen by 3 people instead of just seen by 3. That's just an oversight from whenever we were working on it before. We're also going to go ahead and fix that up, and then that will go ahead and basically pop up a little window that we'll be able to click on the user. If we click on the user, go to their profile. If we click on the little message icon, it'll go into the messages page, so to speak, and then open up a conversation with them. So we need to do some logic to either open up a conversation that already exists or create a new one if it doesn't. So with that being said, I think we're ready to hop into things. I also just want to say sorry for the messy background once again. We're getting ready to leave for the holidays. I'm recording all these early, so the office is kind of a catch-all at this moment. So please forgive me there. We'll get it cleaned up whenever I get back from holidays. So with that being said, let's hop into code and get to work here. Today we're going to be starting out here inside of the message subtitle component instead of our message container. So we need to add a bunch of state and stuff to be able to actually pop up this new component. So let's just go ahead and come up here, and we're going to go ahead and say const. We're going to go ahead and have a show seen by popup and set show seen by popup, and this is going to do what you expect. It's going to go ahead and pop up this modal we're creating. Going to be use state, and this will be a boolean, and we'll start it out as false because we only want to open up if we click on it. We're going to have another one say const, and it's going to be pop up bottom, and set pop up bottom is equal to use state, and this is going to be a number, and we're going to go ahead and set this to 0. We're going to have another one const, and this one's going to be pop up top, and set pop up top equal to use state, and this will be a number, number and 0, and we'll have a const and pop up, and this is going to be left, and set pop up left. This could have been one big object, but it is what it is, equal to use state of a number, and this will be 0. And then finally we'll have a const, and this one's going to be called flip pop-up. We'll go over what all these do in a second. Set, and then flip like a type. Pop-up is equal to use state and a number of 0. So these are basically going to be positions for our pop-up modal, kind of similar to how we did the other ones. And then flip pop-up is going to determine whether we have it up or down. We're going to have a const seen by ref is equal to use ref. I don't know if I have this imported, so I'll go ahead and try to import it. This is going to be on an HTML, and then span element. This is going to go ahead and give us position information. It's going to be null, and that's good to go. And then all we need to go ahead and do is say const open seen popup to actually go ahead and be able to open it. So I have an e react.mouse event, and this is going to be on an HTML. Span element like the ref, and then let's go ahead and create an error function. So first we'll go ahead and stop propagation like we normally do, and then we're going to go ahead and check the seen by ref and our seen by ref.current. Make sure that that is set up. Cool, that's good to go. So we're going to go ahead and start out by saying const curly braces top, and then right and bottom and left. This is going to be equal to our seen by ref, and then .current .get bounding client rectangle. We're going to go ahead and get all of the locations or coordinates for this bounding box. We're going to go ahead and say const, and then distance to bottom is going to be equal to window.inner height, and then minus bottom. And we probably could have like made this its own function somewhere, like a util, like a function for getting location, that way we can place things on the screen, but it is what it is. So now we're going to go ahead and set pop-up left. There we go. Pop-up left is going to be left, and then minus 120. So that's going to be about centering it along where this text is. And we're going to go ahead and say if our distance to, I better spell distance right, distance to bottom is less than 164, and this should actually be like 200 something. I believe. So I might go ahead and change this, but it is what it is. But if our distance at bottom is less than 164, we're going to go ahead and set flip, pop up. We're going to go and flip it to be vertical basically. And then this is going to be true. We're going to go ahead and say set our pop up bottom, and this is going to be distance to bottom. We're going to go ahead and add 32 pixels to add some space in there. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and have set flip pop up maybe to false because we don't need to flip it. And then here we're going to say set pop up top, and this is going to be our bottom plus 16. Again, this should probably be plus 32 to make it more consistent. So we're going to go ahead and add that as well. If it doesn't look good, we can change it. And I typoed here, so let's go ahead and fix that. And then set flip up, flip pop up. I don't know, because this should be a Boolean, not a number, and this will be false to start. That should fix up all of those. Now we just need to do a little bit of work to show this. Now I don't remember where I put this. I think I just put it here over the sent. And then we're going to go ahead and say show seen by popup. And we need to set message.seenBy, make sure that exists because we're going to pass that. And then we're also going to check for message.seenBy.length, is greater than 0. Now here, we probably only want to show this if the conversation length is also longer. So maybe that's an oversight as well, but it is what is. And maybe we want to show this only if it's definitely just more than 0. So maybe that's a little bit of a bug, but it is what is. We're going to have our seen by component that we're going to go ahead and create in a second. And then let's go ahead and fix this seen by here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ref on here. Ref is equal to seen by, and then ref, I can't type. And then we also need to on click on this. So on click is going to be open seen popup. And I guess it was supposed to be seen by popup. I guess it's not really going to hurt. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just clean this up so it's a little bit better to look at. So now we're going to have seen by length, and then we're going to go ahead and have message.seenBy.length is greater than 2 or less than 2 question mark. So this is going to say person if it's less than 2, otherwise it'll say people. So let's see if everything compiles. Let's make sure that this is looking good, and then we can go ahead and hop into the component and get to work there. On the front end, if we go ahead and take a look, you can see now it says seen by 3 people. If we click on this, that should have popped up a component. Let's see what's going on here. So if we just quickly add show seen by popup, and that's called show seen by popup. Okay, we never actually set show seen by popup. I think I did this last time too. So we go ahead and say set show seen by popup. Go ahead and set this to true. Make sure we actually set that to display it. Let's take a look again. Get this thing out of the way. And now if we click on it, you can see seen by component, except we're going to go ahead and display this at an exact location. So it's not going to be there. It's going to go ahead and be above or below, but that's good to go. So with that being said, let's hop back into the code and start creating the component to actually use this thing. So let's go ahead and open up our Explorer. We'll go to the top of our components, and we're going to go ahead and call this message, maybe seen by popup / message seen by popup .tsx. And then let's also go ahead and create a message seen by popup.css. This should be a somewhat simple component. So an import react from react and import r / and then this is message popup or message seen by popup.css, and then that's good. So let's go ahead and just start out with export const and message seen by and then popup. This will be a react.function component. It will take in some props in a second, so we'll go ahead and set that up. But let's just go ahead and do our arrow function and return our div, and we'll come back to that interface. Div class name equal to message-seen-by-popup. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set up our interface. So interface and message seen by popup props. And here we're going to go ahead and have our users and this will be a user array. This is basically the people who have seen it. We have our flip popup, which is a Boolean. Whoops, there we go. We're gonna have our bottom, which is a number. We're gonna have our top, which is a number. We're gonna have our left, which is a number. And we're gonna have a function called handle, whoops, maybe, handle close, which is going to be a void function. Let's go ahead and set that up. And that's good. Now let's go ahead and bring this in. So instead of our react.fc, go ahead and have our message seen by, whoops, popup props. And then we'll break these apart. So in here, we'll have our users, we'll have our flip popup. I can't type this morning. I'm sorry, y'all. It's a 50-50 chance normally. Bottom and top and left, and then handle close. So that is our basic setup. Now we can go ahead and get into it. The thing is, do I want to go ahead and set up all the functions, or do I want to go ahead and just set up the component itself? Let's set up some functions and some state, and then we'll go ahead and set up the rest of it later maybe. So now let's try again. Const logged in and token are equal to use selector. That's a lot better. Our state, which is our root state, and we'll go ahead and return not that. Let me make sure I stop fat fingering. State.user, and then we'll also go ahead and have our conversations. So conversations equal to use selector, and this is going to be state root state, and then this will be state dot message. So we need our list of conversations for whenever we navigate and try to open them. Next, we need to go ahead and say const, and this is going to be click outside ref. Again, this probably should have been a utility function somewhere that takes in a ref, but it's fine. Use ref on an HTML div element like so, and then this is going to be null because we're going to set up the same exact code for clicking outside. Once again, we're going to have const navigate, and this is going to be equal to use navigate. So let's go ahead and pop that up. We'll have our const handle click outside, and this is going to be the same as all the other ones. Have any and set up our arrow function. Now we're going to have to check if our click outside ref and our click outside ref dot current, and then and not click outside ref dot current dot contains, and e dot target. If that's the case, we'll go ahead and call handle close and close this guy. That's good to go. We also go ahead and set up navigate to profile. That one's pretty simple. Equal to, and this is user colon user, and then here we'll go ahead and navigate, and then backticks slash $ curly brace user dot username. That'll go ahead and navigate us to their profile if we need to. And then the next thing, let's go ahead and say const setup popup position. So here we'll go ahead, and I guess I just call it set, not setup, set popup position. And this will go ahead and be an arrow function. This is going to style it for us. So we're going to say let style, excuse me, a little bit of hiccup there. Left is going to be $ backticks, $ curly brace, left px. So we're always going to go ahead and pass that. We're going to check if I can type, if flip popup. So if flip popup, we're going to go ahead and set one thing. Otherwise, we're going to set something else. Go ahead and say style is equal to ... style. And then we're going to go ahead and say a bottom, for if it's a flip popup, is backticks, $ curly brace, bottom px. And then otherwise, let's go ahead and do this right. Otherwise, it's not. So then we're going to have style equal to ... style. Once again, so we have top, backticks, $ curly brace, top px. And then we can go ahead and return the style. I don't know why style is mad there. I don't think I spelled anything wrong. So we'll see if it works or if it breaks. But if it's flip popup, we're going to set the bottom. Otherwise, we're going to set the top. Then we're going to go ahead and return said style like so. I don't know why I was mad. I guess it's fine. And then we still need to go ahead and set up like open conversation, but that's going to be like the last thing we do. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the stub open conversation with user. This will be an async function and take in a user, and then it's not going to return anything. So that's just going to be a method step. We'll come back for that because that's going to be a little bit more work. And then finally, we can go ahead and set up our use effect. So use effect, and then go ahead and set this guy up. And inside the use effect, we're going to be watching for the click outside ref. And inside here, we're going to say document dot add event listener. We're going to be listening for a mouse down event, and we're going to go ahead and listen for handle click outside, and then we'll go ahead and set up our return statement and the arrow function. And inside here, we'll say document dot remove event listener. Once again, it'll be a mouse down event, and it's going to be for the handle click outside, like so. Okay, so most of that is set up. Let's go ahead and bring in our use effect here so it stops complaining. That's good. And make sure it actually saves. There we go. So now that is like most of the stuff done. Obviously, we need to set up this open conversation with user, but we're going to come back to that. So now let's go ahead and actually set up the structure of our component. So we're going to go ahead and have our ref, which is going to be equal to our click outside ref. And we're going to go ahead and set up a style equal to, and it's going to be set pop-up position and call that. So hopefully that sets the top and left or top and bottom, whatever we need to do. Then we're going to have our users.map each user, and we're going to go ahead and render some user cards in here. So let's go ahead and set up this map. And inside here, we're going to go ahead and have a return. Inside this return, we'll have a div, the class name equal to message-seen by, and then popup-card. Okay. And inside the card, we're going to have a div with a class name equal to message-seen by popup user group. And inside the user group, we're going to have a couple of things. First, we're going to have a profile picture. Go ahead and bring that in. User is going to be equal to the user that we're mapping through, and size is going to equal to 40. And then we're going to have another div just to kind of group a couple of things here. And inside this div, we'll have a div. Actually, we'll have a p, the class name equal to message-seen by popup user nickname, maybe. And this also has another one, message-seen by popup text overflow. And that's going to go ahead and kind of set some overflow rules for us in a second. Here we'll have user.nickname, and we're going to do something similar. The p class name equal to message-seen by popup user username. And then we're going to have our message-seen by popup text overflow once again. And then inside here, we'll have the @ symbol. And then, we'll have @ and then the curly braces user.username. So that looks good to go. Okay, then outside of our user pop-up group, I just want to make sure I actually go outside this. So here, outside that guy, we'll have another div with a class name equal to message-seen by popup message-wrapper. And this one's going to get a little bit gross, so bear with me here. We have an on-click on here, and on-click is going to go ahead and have this. We're going to have our E. We're going to set up a curly brace like that. And this is why it's kind of gross, but this is because we need to actually call and have a stop propagation. So we're going to go ahead and stop propagation. Then we're going to go ahead and open conversation with user. And then go ahead and pass in the user. That's why we have it set up this way. And then let's go ahead and close said div like that. Looks good. And then in here, we're going to have a messages SVG, I believe, with an S. Yep, messages SVG. Width is going to be equal to 22. Height is equal to 22. And then we need to fix the color. It's not quite working, but we'll do that in a second. Color is going to be pound and then 657786. There we go. So that is kind of like, whoops. Let me go ahead and fix this. I broke it. So that's kind of like our bare component here. It's looking good. Profile picture, let's make sure we bring this in. Let's see, profile picture. There is an extra opening there. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's good to go. Now the final thing in here is setting up this open conversation with user. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we're gonna check for if not logged in and not token. If that's the case, we're just going to go ahead and return early so nothing breaks. We're going to say let convo user list equal to logged in question mark dot user ID. We're also going to go say user dot user ID. We're just opening it up between the two of us. We're going to go ahead and say let conversation ID. That way we can go ahead and use it later. Let convo with user equal to our conversations dot filter. And we're going to go ahead and filter conversation so that we have return conversation dot conversation users maybe dot sum. We're going to go ahead and specifically look for ones with this user. So we're going to say u dot user ID is equal to user dot user ID. So we're going to filter out all the conversations that only have the user in them. And then once again, we're going to filter them again. And we're going to go ahead and filter conversation. And here, we're going to go ahead and filter and return conversation dot conversation users dot length is equal to 2. So what we're doing here is we're getting all the conversations with us inside user, and we're going to go ahead and try to filter out by the ones that only have 2 users in them, which should only be one of them. So then we're going to go ahead and check if convo with user dot length is greater than 0. We should have 1. So then we can go ahead and say conversation ID is equal to convo with user of 0 dot conversation ID. So we can go ahead and set it to that. Otherwise, we need to go ahead and create the conversation. So we're going to go ahead and say const body is equal to, and we're going to say user IDs colon and convo user list. And then under here, we're going to say let request equal to await Axios. We'll have to go ahead and bring in Axios, and this is going to be dot post. Give me a sec here. I got something in my eye. So we'll have a post to http local host 8000 conversation / and we'll have our body, and we'll have our config. Inside of our config, we'll have our headers. And let's fix this because it always does ugly stuff. And then inside of our headers, have our authorization, and this will be backticks, and then bearer, and then $, curly brace, token, because it should exist at this point. And then once we get that back, we'll go ahead and say conversation ID is equal to rec.data conversation ID. Now if we wanted to, we could load this conversation into our state here, but what I'm going to go ahead and do actually is inside of our message page, whenever we go to like a message inside the message page and it loads the URL, I'm just going to go ahead and fetch it if it doesn't exist. So it's going to be fine. We're going to do the logic on the message page. So now after we have our conversation ID set up, we're going to go ahead and handle close. Go ahead and close that guy. Then we're going to navigate, and then we're going to navigate to /messages / curly brace conversation ID. And that is good to go. Fingers crossed it didn't typo anything. And that is our entire component. We should have already set up the use of this. We should have already set up the use of navigate to profile, I believe, although I didn't. So let's actually do that. So here on the pop-up card, let's also go ahead and add on click on there. And we need to make sure that we call our navigate to profile. So let's go ahead and navigate to profile and then pass in the user from that map. Okay, that looks good. So now this is our entire SeenByPopup component. Now let's go ahead and fix our messages SVG and put this into our message container, and then we'll do the CSS. So let's hop into the messages SVG. So back when we set this up, we never set up the fill on this. So fill will equal to props.color ? Props.color Otherwise, it'll be #000. So that will fix that. Now let's go into the message container and add this in. Inside our message container now, we can go ahead, instead of having the seen by component, we can actually go ahead, put in our message seen by popup, and this is going to need two things. So users is going to be equal to message.seen_by. We're going to go ahead and need flip popup. And then here we'll go ahead and have flip popup like so. We need to have bottom, which is going to be equal to popup bottom. We need top, which will be equal to popup top. We need our left, which would be popup left. And then finally we need handle close, which is just going to equal to an arrow function. And this is going to go ahead and say set show seen by popup, and this is going to be false. Let's go ahead and close that guy. So now that is everything in place. Now we just need to go ahead and make it pretty, but we can just go ahead and make sure everything looks like it's in place. So let's hop into the front end really quick and just take a look. So here on the front end, you can see we have Rick, we have Mort Dog, we have Summer. So if I actually refresh, it was still open from last time. We can open this guy up, go into here, we can go ahead and click on this. So there's a reason why I had it set up so that Morty already had a conversation, but we'll go ahead and wait till I can actually what I'm clicking on. So let's go install this and then we'll do our final testing. Let's go ahead and hop into our message seen by popup CSS. I have our message seen by popup. There's quite a bit of CSS here, so bear with me. So position here will be fixed. We're going to have a width of 260 px, not pox. Let me go ahead and fix this, px. We're going to go ahead and have a height of fits maybe dash content, but we're also going to have a max dash height of 204 px. So this is probably what I should change the other one to, but it is. Overflow is going to be hidden. You'll see why in a second. We're going to have overflow, and this should be y :auto. So we can go ahead and scroll. We're going to have a background dash color, and this is going to be white. We're going to have a border dash radius, radius, and this is going to be about 12 px. We're going to have a box dash shadow, and here there's going to be RGBA 0, 0, 0, and then 0.2, and this is going to be 0 px. This will be 5 px and 15 px. Finally, we're going to have some nav bar, or not nav bar, we're going to have some scroll bar stuff. So ms dash overflow dash style, this is going to be none. We're actually going to go ahead and hide the navigation bar because it doesn't conform to the overflow, none. We're going to have a scroll bar dash width, none. And then we need to set up one more thing for a couple more browsers, message dash seen by dash popup, maybe : and it's going to be dash web kit dash scroll bar. I don't remember this one's for. This one's for like Opera or something. None. Okay, so that sets up the scroll bar stuff. If we have more than 3 people in there, it'll scroll. For message dash seen by dash popup, and then dash card. And here we'll have width of 100%. We'll have a padding of about 12 px, have a display of flex, a justify content, and this will be space dash between. We will have align items in the center, and once again overflow will be hidden. Next we'll have our message dash seen by, and then popup dash card : hover. So here we'll have a cursor pointer, and we'll also have a background, maybe can't type, dash color, and this is going to be pretty light, RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and then 0.05. So it's a pretty light one. Have our message dash seen dash by popup dash user dash group. Here we're going to go ahead and have a width of 80%. This might not even be enough, honestly, but I thought it looked okay. Height will be 100%. We'll go ahead and have display of flex and justify content, and the flex dash start. We'll have align items in the center, and we'll have at least a small gap if the name gets really long of 4px. And that's why we have like an overflow hidden on a bunch of stuff, because if the name goes over, we don't want it to basically overflow into the other side. So message-seen-by popup text overflow, that's why we have this. So here overflow will be hidden. We're gonna go ahead and have a text wrap. We're gonna say no wrap, so it just overflows horizontally basically. Text overflow is going to be ellipsis, and finally we'll have a font dash size. This one doesn't really do the overflow part, but I just went ahead and put that on a shared component. Next on message dash seen dash by popup dash user dash nickname, and here we'll have a margin of 0. We could have put margin and padding in there as well, now that I think about it. So let's go ahead and add margin and padding and width, I guess. So there's a lot of stuff we could actually prevent from duplicating here. So paste that in there, that can go in there. And then also we'll go ahead and add width in there. Width 100%. Actually, can we put width 100%? I think so. We'll see. But anyway, we'll go ahead and have font dash weight on this guy of 800. And we'll go ahead and have a color of black, and then we'll have our message dash seen dash by popup dash user dash username, and here we'll go ahead and have a font dash weight of 400, so slightly different. And then we just have a couple more things. Message dash seen dash by popup message wrapper. I'm hoping that I set this up, I don't remember, but I'm sure I did. Width will be 42px. Our height will be 42px. We're going to have a display of flex. We'll justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center. We're going to have a border of 1px solid, and this is going to be pound E1 ED. Actually E8, I'm sorry, ED. There we go. And then a border, border dash radius of about 100%. And then finally our message dash message dash seen dash by popup dash message dash wrapper and hover. Once again, we need a background color. The background dash color is going to be RGBA and 0,0,0.1, like so. Save that, and now we just hope that I didn't typo anything. So for the moment of truth, let's go ahead and hop into the front end, give it a refresh, and see if our logic and styling is working. Otherwise, when we pulled my hair out this morning and not get as much done as I wanted. So let's go ahead and give this a refresh for our best chances here. Now that it's loaded, let's go ahead and hop into our messages, go into here and click on this. Now you can see we have space down here. I guess that is pretty big. So let's go ahead and hop back into our code and only make this 16 once again. So inside our message container where we actually set this, let's go ahead and set this to 16 like I had it before. And also we can go ahead and set this to like 204 because that's how much space we actually need. Let's go ahead and check again. That didn't do anything interesting. It might be because we do need to refresh this. Let's see. Whoops. Let's go to this one. That looks a little bit better. Okay, cool. So you can see we have these. If we click on this, it should take us to the profile. That's cool. And if we click on this one, we already have a mess with Morty. So if we click on this one, it should just basically open it up, and it should be like conversation 2 or something, conversation 3. You can see messages 2, we don't have a message page, so that's why that one's not working. And if we come back in here and then click on Rick, this one should actually create a new one. So this one should be like conversation 3. So we click on this, it says messages 3. We come back and we go back in here, maybe we can see we have a conversation with Rick created. So that's good to go. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Lots of so's in there. Hope you guys did have, like I said before, a good holiday season. By the time you see this, I should be back in Texas getting ready to record more episodes. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, y'all, if you did enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. If you do want to see where we're starting from absolute scratch to get to the point we are now, there's a playlist and the end card coming right up. So as always, y'all, have a great day. This has been Ethan and Coder. I'll see you all in the next video.